All right. Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome to Matt Kite. My name is Aaron Johnson. Happy BrandMas, 12 days of BrandMas. This morning, we are joined by Fred Hope from Slingshot.
Here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus.
All right, dude. How are you, man? It's been a minute.
Down in Mexico, I ran away from the cold. So sunny, warm, windy.
Yeah.
Got here about a week, I think, and it's just been sessions every day. So I've been enjoying that.
Yeah. Where are you right now? Are you in Mexico now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
So, very nice.
Oh, nice. Dude. You've been doing that for a while now, right? You head down to Mexico every winter?
In the winters. So like 2 months every winter since I was born. Dad lives down here full time.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice. So,
dude. What's that like? I mean, La Ventana seems like a pretty cool place. I've heard a lot of people talking about it.
Changed a lot over the years. There's a lot of more American houses here now, but it's still a pretty laid back town. Everyone goes to bed by 9 p.m. They call it. It's nice. You wake up in the morning. There's no wind. It picks up around 12. Water around 1.
Yeah.
And then you kite till 4, maybe 5:30 if you want. It's not just windy all day, which is pretty nice. And rare to see a cloud in the sky as well. So it's pretty nice. Yeah.
Dude.
Pretty hard to beat. I go to a lot of places. I've traveled a lot. And still, between Hood River and Baja, La Ventana, they're still my top 2 by far.
You know, that's been a trend across all the interviews that we've been doing. That is definitely those 2 places are absolutely a trend, with third one being Maui. But I think Hood and La Ventana. Hood is probably the number one most common in La Ventana, and then people talking Maui. That seems like, you know, when you talk about everybody kind of crashing out by 9, it seems more like, hey, look, man, we're here for one thing and one thing only. Let's ride and have, you know, I'm sure you guys chill out a little bit in the afternoon and evening and stuff, but then focus, man. Bed at 9, probably up
pretty
at
much.
sunrise.
Watch the sunrise every morning and then go about your work till around noon or 1, and then for me, I go test products, but most people have fun.
Yeah. I should have introed with that, Fred. What is your official position with
Director
Slingshot?
of Product Marketing, but basically like product line management. So writing the product briefs, working with the designer, and then testing the products and kind of making sure they're in line with where we think the trend is going in windboards. This week I'm working on new stabilizers, higher aspect, lower aspect, longer tails, shorter tails, all that kind of stuff. Figure out what angle we want to set them at. So,
sure. Yeah, segue into that, Fred. What are you most stoked about from Slingshot for 25,
the
26?
Machine V3, actually, surprisingly, I do love twin tipping a lot. And
cool.
I was riding it a lot last winter, kind of checking off the product. And 12 is just like the easiest kite to jump on, has the most hang time. Also not nearly as expensive as an Alula kite, but still gets pretty much the same hang time. The loop's not as fast as a Alula kite, but I find like 2 customers, one that wants to go do massive kite loops and probably under the age of 40, and then the guy above 45 that wants to just spend as much time up there and make it easy. So I really like the Machine V3 is a sleeper kite that just came out that people aren't really aware of that much, but it's starting to get some traction, and everyone that gets on it really likes it. So and I'm sure you have that challenge. Any brand does when you have a product that and your riders know, and you try to grow that organically to get the word out on a particular piece of gear. Kite, it's hard. You almost have to run endless demos at a certain point to get gear in people's hands. But then, and one of the things that we experience, and you guys always help us out with that, is getting gear in the hands of your retail sales people, making sure that they have a good fluency with the product, whether it's, kite, wing, foil related, anything, get that going. And then, because those people are the front lines in talking with, future customers, potential customers, existing customers. And so keeping those people fluent and stoked is always a good, easy win also, because demos, man, lots of legwork. We had a demo center. We have an office building right at the water, and downstairs we have a garage, and we turned that into a demo center so people could come in and check out gear for 2 days for free.
Cool.
They could come in one day, get a board, come in the next day, get a whole 1 lock foil, get a wing, kite, bar. even a stand-up paddleboard if you really wanted to. So it was a good way to kind of build traction on our products and get people to try them with a little bit less legwork than just doing a one-time demo. This kid Torin, who's a great kid down there working that shop kind of, and just getting people on the new product. So we were kind of expanding that. And this year, or this winter, we have a place in La Ventana at Kite Surf up the beach in Rasta. They'll have demos. It's more like an hour or two. You get to go out and bring it back in. Yeah. And then you can do it longer. Cool. And then we also have Good Breeze is going to be doing a demo center.
Nice.
So 2 places now that you can kind of plan around, because I feel like throwing a demo is a one-time thing. Yeah. You don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe brand post it on social media, but half the people at Kiteboard aren't even on Instagram. So I feel like it's kind of good to have a stable show up whatever day you want, look at the forecast, and to try out if you've been wanting to try it. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Really forward thinking, because you can't effectively plan demos, or you guaranteed you put one on the calendar, the wind is going to tank and you're not going to have, but like putting it in the hands of the people, like you saying down in Ventana, you got people visiting, hey, just get the word out that this is available and you can go check this out anytime that's proper.
The Flowcraft really board, Flowcraft V2, it's kind of like our mid-length, slightly stubbier, just to get a bit more stability. But that board this summer was checked out. We had probably like 10 of them, and it was like 3 weeks to check one out. Because so many people and wanting to try that board. Yeah, so it's kind of showing that the demo center is working for us, especially getting people. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and as long as you can keep that overhead manageable on that, that's going to pay back tenfold. That's one of those things. It's a convenience to the traveler and or local, but I mean it's there and it's on the map. You just need to go and get it, which is awesome. As
you go to a demo and you only get to try it for like 20 minutes, but in River we had like the 2-day program, so you could take it up to the hatch, and then you could go to the waterfront park or go out to Rufus, all within the 2 days. And so you really got to try in different conditions and feel more the product before you worry about it, if that was the case.
I agree, and that's an awesome grassroots approach. You got to get into that guerrilla marketing mindset, and what's it going to take to get somebody on this, and have them check it out. And that's really cool, man. What about I kind of expected you to lead off with One Lock. Do you have anything that you want to say about that?
Pipe foiler, right? So the 102 mast is pretty epic. The HM 102 mast. It's got a different profile than the rest of the mast, because generally kite foilers ride a little bit faster. You need that low end so much because you have so much power in the kite to get through that. So when you kind of like optimize a profile on a mast for a different speed range, and on the 102 it's optimized for a higher range, so a little bit more drag at low speeds, but really opens up on the top end, which really kite foiling where you're going faster. And then the core, the length from the leading edge to the trailing edge is quite a bit shorter, and so that allows you to still be able to maneuver the foil aggressively while going fast, which is what they want for kite foiling. Cool. So that mast has been pretty fun overall.
I was going to say, feedback wise, we had really good positive feedback from our wake foiling community. People that can come in, and the ability to just at the swim platform, swap out front wings, between rider weight,
even
that's invaluable
too, right?
to those guys, and especially when you
the entire board, in 2 seconds. So.
Because it's if you're out wake foiling and you have, let's say you got 2 or 3 kits assembled, maybe you got a couple hanging off the wings, one in the bow, depending on what kind of a boat you're rolling, it gets crowded quick. And so for one of our guys, Caden, he goes out, leaves his Slingshot kit in one of the travel bags, and just when he's ready to be up, he just quick can unzip and put that thing together in a minute, back, off the back of the boat, and he's ready. And he was just raving about it. He's like, dude, one of those things that you're not thinking about necessarily from it's a positive rider experience. It's just one of those things where you're like, dude, this really makes my day on the water a click or two more enjoyable, let alone aside from the performance of the gear itself. but just that convenience factor of assembly and stowing, and then to be able to swap front wings based on different riders, weights and stuff, and that seemed it was really cool feedback. I mean, I wasn't thinking of it that way, but I was looking at it more from a kite foil perspective, and to hear that kind of feedback from the wake foil community was really cool. Definitely wanted.
Yeah, to us it's kind of a novelty, right? Because we all own Sprinter vans or Transit vans or whatever. We're like a little too core,
right.
That the assembly part isn't our biggest concern. Is more performance. So it's still great that the Unlock has that performance through taking out those screws. But when you talk to like the average guy on a boat in the middle of Arkansas trying to go wake foiling, right? Like he's got his kids and they're running around. Yeah. They've been tubing. He doesn't have a place to put the foil. It takes 10 seconds to throw it underneath the seat. Not going to open his seat cushion open. The wings that he has on his boat don't actually fit a foil board because they're made for wake foils. Or
they're thinner,
There's quite a bit of benefits for
wake boards, wake surfers,
especially from the setup. But then also when you're winging, we have some people in Hood River, some customers that have emailed us and say that instead of downsizing their hand wing, they'll just downsize their front wing. Instead of going pumping up another one, which actually takes more time now, they'll just pop out the front wing. Yeah. And sometimes I'll go out and especially if I'm testing stabs, I'll take like 5 or 6 stabs, put them down on the beach, and then just come in and cycle through. Really, really epic. Dude. And it's gotten so bad for me personally that I won't. If my friend has a foil with screws and tries to get me to set it up, I'll walk away because it just is. It's that much of a hassle to me now.
Dustin, our kite guy here, he. One of our kite guys, he's been kite foiling exclusively with the Slingshot One Lock, and I forget which board he's using, but with the track system, he can slide it right together and taking his time, a minute. And he was saying that honestly, that kind of ended up being a little bit of a deciding factor. Like he knows that like on his way home, he can cruise out and grab a quick session. Now, if you got to screw something together by hand, is it going to take a bit longer? Sure. It's not like a crazy big thing, especially a lot of people carry drivers and stuff. But he said, you wouldn't believe how many more sessions I've gotten just because I knew that it was so easy. He's like, I swing by, check it. I see that there's caps out there. Cool. Quick pull in the lot. I know I can be assembled in like a minute, pumped up and on the water. And then enjoying, I forget which front wing he was using, but he was like, dude, I love this. He said, this is such a fun, I guess it just boiled down to that. It put a smile on his face consistently. He's just like, dude, I know what to expect. I can get this together real quick and be on the water. And he's got a new family. So, time's precious, and he's just like, this is a deciding factor between me going to get a session and or not going to get a session. And hey, man, more power to you. You're putting some good product out there that people are really responding positively. To.
There's a couple trips I've been on where I was on a boat and while assembling my foil, stupidly did it over the swim step and dropped water. And so then I was for a week with 2 front wing instead of 3. So it's really less things to lose too. Which it's only 3 parts that you have to keep it. So it simplifies everying. And then on the water, it's incredibly smooth performance wise. Like for our core riders, they notice the difference for sure. Oil, how smooth it is through the water.
Yep. Cool. Well, hey, how about let's transition into something. Is there anything that you're using from another brand that you're stoked about? Any other product or piece of kit?
I test a lot of products from other brands just because of the role that I have at Slingshot. Kites wise, I think my favorite brainchild that I've tried is probably the F1 trigger. It's nice and stable, has good lift. It feels more like the Machine V3 that I was probably not as fast of a looper as like the Harlem ones. I haven't tried the Reedon ones, but the F1 just felt super stable in the air. It was pretty nice. For foils, I think that I've tried the F4. That one's pretty nice. People are all hyped up about that. I think it's a little hard to get up on at times, but once it's quite smooth and fast. I think the best all-around foil is probably the Skate from another brand. It's very comparable to our Glide front wing, which is also 9 aspect ratio. Ours is probably a little bit more stable. Skate's a little bit more unstable, which for me, I kind of like. But it just feels once again like the same thing with the triggers. It seems well thought out for customer for sure.
Yeah.
For twin tips,
That's cool.
I don't know. I think that our twin tip is by far the best personally. The Era, but the Jaime is kind of nice. It's a little flexier, so it's a little easier on your knees. Cardboard, super slippery.
Sure.
I haven't really tried any of the other brands. There was this like boutique twin tip brand from Germany, I think, that was at AWSI, super lightweight. Was pretty nice. I can't remember the name of the boards now, but
yeah, all dark, really, dark carbon or something. Yeah, I can't remember what they were called either. That's a tough body drag if you ditch it. Fins up, dartboard, kind of hard to.
But they're more of the advanced ones, so you'd think somebody buying that would be a good buy. Our more beginner ones are a lot brighter, orange. So and then kite bars. I'm a big simplicity guy. I feel like honestly, and we like our bars are made through a brand called Majestic in China. Ben Bainbridge, and he makes a bunch of bars for a bunch of brands. Safety's just top of the line. The simplicity of the bar is really nice. There's no parts that are going to break, so that's pretty nice overall. Foot straps. I've heard the Nash foot straps are pretty nice. Ask shops, they really enjoy those quite a bit. They kind of like cup your foot a little bit more, which I have narrow feet, so that helps me. I think if you have wider feet, it might be a little more challenging. But yeah, and then harnesses, I haven't explored that.
Yeah, that's skinny.
But yeah. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all. I think there's a lot of dock start boards now too, lighter ones, ones that people are really liking. Yeah, I still like the Hopecraft overall for dock starting because I like a little bit more weight in my board, like 6 pounds or something instead of like a 3 pound board. I feel like sometimes if the board gets super light, the foil gets a bit chattery. Especially it just doesn't track very well. So when you start going faster, you don't really have that stability in the board. But yeah, I mean, I know there's Takun has a pretty good carbon dock start board that's super light. Not sure about any of the other brands actually. I've seen a bunch come up, but there's a lot. Like we were one of the first to have the kind of smaller tray style board. Remember the Dwarf Craft?
Yeah.
And
I still have one.
The Hopecraft came after that. Now we have Puddle Pumper as well. That's kind of like an entry dock start board that is absolutely crushing it. So we got on the trend basically at the beginning. Tony kind of invented the trend, in my opinion. And a bunch of other brands have come out. So there's probably more dock start shaped boards than there are wing boards at this point, right? Because there's so many little brands. You can make them at home super easily. So there's a lot of those now. That's probably a good idea for you guys to make like a buyer's guide for those because there's so many things to think about with those boards.
It's fun to hear you talk about all of the you clearly put a lot of thought into researching what's out there, like being firsthand knowledgeable within your competitor offerings. That's hard to do. I mean, I know you need to be, you have to do that as a brand. You need to be very fluent in what your competitors are offering and what they're doing good and what they're not doing good and or what's marginal and what doesn't make sense and what's kind of a way out there, kind of a out in left field kind of a thing, but looking for the trend, looking for the sweet spot and see what's functional for, like you say, the 80% of riders.
Other products hard as well, right? Where did they go wrong? Where did they go really right? Like, what should we think about? How?
For sure.
I always think about like my mom or dad riding a product. They can use it as a good product. If it's too advanced, where it's like stally or really hard to get in the right spot or super unruly, it's not necessarily a product we wouldn't make, but it's not one we'd want to push as like our new product. Because our customers, they don't have like unlimited time, like you said, right? You don't want to push them way too advanced. And we've had that issue in the past. With the start of Phantasm, our wings were quite advanced. You think of like the PTM 730, 925, 1001. There wasn't a lot of low end on that. And today they'd probably be like a reasonable foil, but in the beginning of winging and prone foiling, they didn't have that low end for the customer level that it was at. So kind of like always taking a seat and thinking about if who is going to buy the product is actually going to enjoy it. That's, I think, important.
Yeah. And that's hard. You want, I think the industry trend in a lot of different industries. You know, it's always been a youthful, energetic face on the marketing side with an ability level that is realistically unattainable for the target market. You know, so I fit that. I you know, when I think about who our target market is, yeah, it's a middle-aged dude, you know, bottom line. And so we get entertained by, you know, big loops and things that are going on in the big air community and the freestyle community and, you know, big loops and stuff. But then ultimately, like you say, when it comes right down to pumping up and getting on the water, that same rider wants something plug and play more so than not, I feel. I mean, there's still, you know, people, and regardless of what the age bracket is, that appreciate and demand a performance oriented, let's say, kite. But I feel like, man, if you had to cater to that 80% or 75%, it's kind of, you know, it's hard because your pros are coming in and telling you one thing, but then your retailers are telling you a different thing based on what they're seeing sales wise. And so to filter through all of that and make something that, and that's hard because you I don't know that you can, you know, make a piece of kit that is going to keep the pros happy and also, we've had
the
average
pretty
Joe.
good success,
You know,
especially in the NXT with that, like our Code NXT version. Just because our team riders, their goal is to go really high and do massive loop. We have photos that like do double loops and stuff like that, but I think that everyone's getting more excited about a single big loop that actually pulls you versus like a little mini loop that does 2 or 3 spins. So Zach, Jeremy, Kimo, those are team riders. They're really loving the new kites because it helps them get higher and spend more time. Really what our customers want to do too, for sure. So
and even though they may not be doing as technical, you know, of not doing riding to a degree of that level, but it's still, like you say, even if they're just floating, you know, getting you pop a bay, you know, and you're just floating and getting a good long glide. That always feels really cool. Some nice big slow spins
my favorite
in
thing
there.
To do on a trip is just jump and then look around. Right, like that view is pretty cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm as close as I get to
totally.
It. So,
just all kook style, just chilling out. Yes. Oh fun. Man, that's cool, dude. That was a good combo on that. I appreciate that big time. And so we kind of talked about your favorite spot. Do you have any other spots that you want to chat about? Because you kind of said Hood and Ventana. That's probably the goods there. How about if you had to ride one spot for like rest of your life?
It'd probably be Hood River. Just what do you think? Of the year-round ability. Like it's always windy. You get some pretty cool riding dry suits. Yeah. In the middle of winter, I was out kiting there December 3rd, I think, winging there. Full booties, gloves, the full wetsuit. Have those Soul Light booties you guys got me. So,
cool.
And it's still fun. Like we go out to Stevenson and it's blowing 45. You go out to Rooster and it's blowing 70. It might be a little windy for most people, but you still get wind there. So, as far as a complete year-round place, that's pretty top of my list. I haven't really spent a full year anywhere else, to be honest. Not quite certain about that, but I'd imagine a good wave spot could be fun. But then you get so remote that you're not really in the world, you know, you're pretty you're like on a secluded island somewhere. So I kind of like that aspect of being close to a city. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and you can get to Portland in an hour and a half, depending on traffic.
Close,
or an hour, and then coastal. 2 hours, you can get to the coast for wave sessions, right? Like what's 2 depending on traffic,
2.5 or 3. But I mean, the Hood River has a lot of it, and then they also have a bunch of other sports too. So in terms of like year-round spot, if I could draft my ideal spot, I feel like it would probably be Chicama with the city. Right? Like, being in waves would be so fun every day. Pretty cool.
Are you a goofy foot by any chance?
Backside, but it'll be fun. I like riding backside a lot. So, I always thought at a wave spot, I would be
I love it.
A hardcore kite surfer. That's the ultimate riding of waves, other than being like a full-on surfer.
Sure. Well, you can the ability to hit. I mean, you can just smash the lip so hard with the power of the kite. And did you get more like on the kite surfing side of things? Do you feel I'm trying to think of what most conditions are for people that, do you have, a swell direction going one way and a wind direction going one way for most people, or do you find wind and swell traveling the same direction? Because obviously when you're making a wave kite and you're thinking about how this is going to perform, I'm very familiar with local wind swell, and so the wind and swell are going at damn near the same direction. So it's a lot of I'm not dealing with a kite that has to have a ton of drift. I'm more out and back, and smash it out and rip it and keep doing that as long as you have a workable face. Maybe zip around the section, come back and hit it again, as opposed to park it in the pocket and have a lot more time right there slotted and kind of grooving down the line.
We actually just released a wave kite, a new one called the Fuse. The SST, been around I think since 2016. It was a great kite, but sat super deep in the window, so it was a little tricky to go upwind. So with the Fuse, we were trying to balance like what Ben Wilson needs, or the pro rider that lives in O2.
Sure.
Riding wind chop, basically. For you got to be able to go upwind easier, right? And then be able to pivot the kite quicker because you don't have a big down the line turn you can do. That drift to be able to just park it and go downwind, So it was Addy, our kite designer, worked on really finding that balance, and then also allowing the kite to loop without too much pull in the loop, right? Because you want a wave to get the kite in the right position, not necessarily to generate a ton of power. So it did that kind of through the bridles. Like you got on the LE1 point, the first bridle attachment, it's kind of cupped inside of the leading edge that really allows the kite up when you want it to drift down the line. And then as you go down the leading edge to the wing tips, the bridles wrap around to the outside a little bit more. And he that too on some other kites as well to get a bit more range in our kites over. But it's kind of, you're always trying to find the balance, like we just talked about with the customer versus the pro rider. But the incredible kite, right?
Totally.
Mom, dad, and sister all use it and love it. Which is a new thing for our wave kite. I don't know if you have ever dealt with the SST. It bounces up. Sometimes fly away. So that's also a funny joke we have in the office, that we finally have a wave kite that sits on the beach. So that's pretty good.
They don't want to sit down. I know when you're self landing in especially into the 7 meter range or smaller, man, it can sometimes be a little challenging. And we're sitting with big wide open beaches, and you might have 100 yards from parking lot to water's edge, and left to right just wide open space of sugar sand, and so not a ton of shelter. Like if you have a little wind shelter, a little dune or something, you can just quick bring it down and slam it and give it a little yank, and it'll pivot into the wind. But sometimes, I know what you're talking about. That did not want to sit down. So, that was one that was, you had to like slam it harder and then rip it,
run
and
over.
Quick, kind of don't take your time. Get over there and get a foot on it.
So Fuse is a nice kite because of that.
I hate that,
especially, but also like it's a lot better upwind. It's better drifting too. The loops don't generate much power. Kind of solving all those things at the same time through a redesign. It's not the same kite.
That's good to hear, man.
Changes. It's a whole new kite with a whole different designer as well.
Sure. And that's a hard thing to decide on as a brand. You're like, okay, do we do we kill this? Do we kill this and start over? Because that takes time and to get traction and stuff. So good on you for being forward thinking with some of those things that maybe you didn't feel at the Beckett was doing.
We've done
good.
That with a couple of products, the Wingcraft V3 being one of them as well. Just kind of deciding, hey, you can keep the name the same and change the whole board, and nobody's really going to realize, right? Unless they actually Wingcraft V4, you'd think it has the same DNA. So we're trying to change the name a lot more if the complete DNA changes of the board. So the wave kite is another one of those examples. Cool. Yeah,
and that's the Fuse.
Yeah,
cool.
It's fun.
I have to check that
Good
out.
for kite flying too. It's really fun.
You sent over a video. This dude on Instagram. He kind of had that was like a late hand drag in there off of that roll. That was cool.
Yeah, I've tried that a couple times. I don't even understand how he's doing it, but I saw that video I think 2 months ago or something. That's
hilarious.
The exact one I thought of.
Yeah. And what's that guy's name again? Is it Heiner Hoffman Kite? Okay, Heiner Hoffman Kite on Instagram. Yeah, he busts a big kind of a front loop, stalls it out late, hand
he does
drag.
Like an air, and as he comes down,
that was cool.
backwards loops the kite and drags his hand, and then does a back roll. But
That was,
yeah,
dude, that was stylish. I give you
I
five
don't
tries
know.
on that. I know
think
you
I've
can
tried it
stick
5 times, and I always end up on my face. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, do you have any other shout outs, anything else that you wanted to talk about before we close?
I don't know. I feel like the industry it's in an interesting spot right now. I don't know if you guys have experienced it, but there's a lot of product,
Yeah.
right? And so that's kind of why you hear
Yeah.
like all the research I've done. We're trying to release products only when they're actually relevant and make a difference and really help the customer.
Totally.
Versus just bringing out new products with a new colorway. So that's something new that
Yeah.
we've employed, and our versions of kites are now on like 2-year cycles. I think eventually we'll go to
Sweet.
2-year
Yeah, yeah.
cycles. I think with the wings we have right now, they'll probably run for 2 years, just because as sport stays around for longer, you don't need to just have a new colorway to try to sell the same product again, right? More
Totally.
life to our
Totally.
product line. And so we'd spend more time before we bring it out to actually make sure that it's relevant. So, yeah.
And that's hard, right? Because you know that on the consumer side, as a consumer, we always
You want something
we
new.
always it's hard because at the same time, to reference a product, I kind of stopped drinking pop, but Coke Classic, right? I don't know if you remember way back, probably before you were born, Coke Classic changed the recipe, and people lost their damn mind, and so then they switched back to Coke Classic. That was something that we wanted as a consumer. Consistency. I know every time I pop that can, what I'm going to get, and I think it's interesting in the wind sports world where you think, oh, we always need lighter, better, faster, stronger, but at the same time, we don't want to lose that original DNA that made us stoked about that product in the first place. So, yeah, doing R&D for the sake of marketing or R&D for the sake of riding performance, those are two very different avenues, and it's got to be challenging for the brand. And I respect for going to a version release instead of just annual, because if it doesn't make sense to do that, just for, like you said, just for the sake of changing a colorway and putting it back out there. But I think I got to give credit to Slingshot with, oh man, what was I'm blanking here. Before the, oh dude, what was the flagship 10 years ago? RPM. RPM was always the RPM, and I think even talking with, I'm trying to think of who I was chatting with about this, says, yeah, really we're not tweaking this too much year to year because people like it, and again, offering some colorway changes. And at one point, there were so many SKUs of colorway options, it was gnarly. It was so hard to try to sort through.
To choose your color,
what
right?
customers wanted,
whatever material.
Yeah, it's like you get what you get.
And gray kite sometimes.
Yeah. But there was that period there for about, I don't know, 5 years ish or so that it just didn't change, and that was okay. That was cool because you knew what you were going to get. And for somebody who, they bought an RPM and were digging on it, and then they, for whatever reason, they needed to grab a new, maybe they trashed it or whatever, and they needed to grab a new kite. They legit want that same thing. I'm just going to go get the same exact one. I don't care what color it is. Give me this size. Maybe they change sizes or not, but they know what they're going to get out of that. And so I was like big props to Slingshot for acknowledging that and just doing it. It's like, hey, look, just to keep tweaking it for the sake of tweaking it, that's counterproductive too. So
right? Like the RPM,
it's hard.
It was that happened for too long, right? Like it turned into the RPX. Well, basically like 2012, I think is when it took off, right? And then there's a slight change to the leading edge material, and then the canopy, and then the RS bridle that was like the bungee versus the pulley. It was like a redesign of the canopy.
Right. Yep.
And the leading edge material again. And it kind of was like, oh, it's the new RPM, but it's really the same RPM, And so there is that consistency and stability and being able to go back and get a kite that's quite similar. But I think there's a balance of how you go about that. So now it's not necessarily just releasing a new colorway. We'll release a new product when we feel it's significantly better than the last one. And we'll wait on a product as well if we don't feel like it's there, just so that we're not kind of fatigued the customer. And the other thing too is you guys experience this too. When you release a new product, the old product goes to close out, right? Like you have 3 5 meters, a 7 meter, and a 9 meter that you still have in stock at Mac. we bring out like a new version of a kite, all of a sudden that product is devalued completely, even though it's still like a killer kite.
Sure.
Kite
Yeah.
with a new colorway, but calling it a new version that just devalues product in the market that doesn't really need to be devalued. It also creates more waste as well.
Yep.
It's a lot of our kites are made of plastic, right? Every kite brand is making a bunch of plastic trash, basically, that hopefully will not end up in a landfill in 3 years, but for it kind of does, you know, because they're constantly buying new products. So I think that's something to be mindful of as well.
Yeah. And good on you guys for acknowledging that, you know, and being mindful of new releases, the timing of it, the R&D behind it. Yeah, that's a challenge. And I think that's the future. What you guys are doing with that mindset, that just makes more sense.
Build products in an 18-month cycle. So from the moment I write the product brief to the moment we release it to the customer, it goes on the website.
Yeah,
it's about 18 months. Sometimes it takes 24 months. One lock took 3 years, right? Developing that foil, we decided early on, right when I started actually, that we wanted to kind of change the way people look at foils. And I kind of, the one lock is kind of like, remember when Ozone brought out the chicken loop that clicked in on the bar? How it was
I'm blanking. I should know this. Yeah.
And people were pretty tentative about it. It would pop open, but now you look at every brand and they all have click-ins, right? All of our bars have it. Duotone has a click-in bar. Ozone, Nash, I think, has one as well. That's kind of like become a staple, right? If your bar doesn't click in like a seatbelt, it's old and dated. And we are of the mindset that at some point that might be the same with foils and screws, is that it just becomes and you have to deal with constantly tightening them or like snapping off your fuselage because your screws aren't M8 or something like that. You lost.
You lost one. You know, one lost bolt. If you're not rolling with extras, you know, that can be. And I swear, man, you might drop it from waist high into the sand. That thing, oh, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, it was right here at my feet, and now, it's crazy to try to recover hardware if you've dropped it. That's a whole other thing. And then if you're dealing with any kind of a caustic, you know, like in salt water, you know, it's different in freshwater, obviously, but you know, if you leave them assembled for too long, you know, they can kind of start to
the nice thing about the
together.
I ended up dropping a foil in the ocean here, and then found it like 4 months later. Put it on the jet ski and just unclicked it, wobbled it out, and it popped right open. So, and this is saltwater. So basically nothing that can bind, right? The way that the system works. And that's how we designed it, was for tolerance variance, but also like corrosion factors that you shouldn't really have to wash your foil if you get a one lock. I never do my gear because it's also product testing as well. Every time I come in from kiting, I throw the bar into the air 5 feet and let it fall on the concrete just to see how it handles that, because people treat their gear like shit. For sure. They drag it around like a kayak almost. So trying to do that with the products that we're testing really kind of helps versus babying them. I mean, some customers do, right? Like you're spending a lot of money on a kite bar or a kite or a foil, but there are other customers that just treat it like sports equipment, you know?
I'm always surprised by that too, when you see something come back like, oh, hey, you know, somebody trying to get a warranty on something where you know, you're looking at the bar and you're like, it looks like you drove over this.
Or the people that twice with the foil on the top. I did that once and completely ripped it out of the board. But people will like, hey, the board broke. I don't know what you want me to do. You know? Yeah,
I know. Those people are out there, dude. You know who you are. That's just weird, you know?
Usually they laugh about it. Come on, like, hey, sorry, I did this. Is there any way?
Totally.
Yeah. But I mean, the nice thing about
that is a much more reasonable person to work with. You know, you're like, hey, I screwed this up. That was so stupid. My bad. Can you work with me on something, as opposed to somebody who's just BSing you know damn well what they did. Trying to pull one over.
That's been dragged over blackberries or rocks, and they're like, I don't know, it just kind of exploded when I was out. I have a video.
You're like, lines. I know how it happened. Look at all those 1,000 little perforations right there from
it's pretty funny
from briars.
But anyway, the nice thing about going back to the one lock, right, is that it's really hard to have it go wrong. Whether you're on a trip and like try not to lose a screw, or whether you don't want to wash it because you don't have a hose, or you're staying at a hotel and it's super sandy. It doesn't really matter. You're not putting grease on anything. That's for sure. I haven't touched a tube of grease for 3 years now. which is pretty nice.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. And I remember seeing one of the shorts you guys put out. That legit threw it in the sand, and we're putting it back together. And that made sense. Yeah. That was that resonated. You know, that was like, oh, that's
there's always the naysayers, right? Like,
that hits.
It's gonna break, or it doesn't work with sand, or the line will snap. But like, we spent 3 years on it. We tried everything. So yeah, we definitely are proud of that product overall. It's definitely the top product I've looked at, besides the Code NXT probably, and the Slingwing NXT V2.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool.
Well, dude, hey, I've caught you here long. I just want to make sure that I'm not taking up too much of your time, but I appreciate you joining us here for 12 days of BrandMas, and we sincerely appreciate all the support we get from Slingshot. And anytime you want to reach out, Fred, and have a conversation on gear or anything like that, I'm always happy to do that. Or any of the other guys are, very happy to do that on the video team.
You guys too. You do a lot of work in the industry and make a lot of content, which I think is very valuable.
Yeah, well, you know what? We've got good brand support, so when there's awesome product out there that we can enthusiastically talk about, it's an easy thing to do. We're fortunate to be in an industry that we are passionate about, like you are, and when we're all presented with a piece of gear that we're all stoked about, that's an easy conversation to have. So yeah. Well, Fred, thank you so much, dude. We sincerely appreciate your time. Thank you. And again, to everybody out there listening or watching, I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad, however y'all do it. Thank you so much for watching, and happy 12 days of BrandMas.
We'll see you soon.